And welcome back to Analyzing Data and Preparing Your Research Project. This video is part 2 of lesson 3. In part 1, we learned how to organize your data, tools to organize them, and interpreting your results. Now in part 2, we'll talk about actually creating your research report. Creating a good research report requires essential elements and components to create a good one. So, explanation of the research problem or question, description of study design and data collection methods, presentation of the data and their analysis interpretations of the data, also identification of possible weakness of the study and summary, and connections to a broader context. Some essential elements of a research report include introduction, methodology, data and findings, conclusions, and lastly, references. Now let's talk about each one of these. To start off with our introduction, this is where you explain your research problem, history behind it, and any related research and literature. You can also introduce your research question here in the introduction. The next section of your research report will be your methodology. This is where you will explain all research protocols and procedures. You will explain how you designed your study as well as how you collected your data. You will also explain who your participants were and how you got approved by a review committee. This part is where you need to go into as much detail as you possibly can explaining your research. The next part will be your data and findings. In your findings section, you will explain what methods you use to analyze your data, the trends, averages, and patterns in your data, and what these trends and patterns mean. This is where you will include all your analysis and interpretations of your data. And your last section of your research report will be your conclusion. Your conclusion section will wrap it up, and a good conclusion will summarize your research report and findings, identify possible weaknesses of the study, and also explain what the findings mean to a broader group or society. You will include one last part in the bottom of your research report, which will be your references. This is the last section, and this is where you include your works cited and references that you used during your research. This is where you will list the literature and articles you mentioned throughout your report. The references list should show the author, title, year published, and publisher of the literature and articles that you've mentioned. Different teachers and publishers will require different citations styles, such as APA, Chicago, MLA, or AMA format for your references. Lastly, when writing your report, it's important to maintain academic integrity. That means crediting the words and ideas of other people. So if you use some idea from another author that you read from previous literature, you will credit that to that author. Maintaining confidentiality and protecting participants' rights and privacy, as well as identifying any biases in your sample section. You will also describe the limitations of your assessment strategies to maintain academic integrity. And lastly, providing a complete report of your findings, including findings that may not support your predictions, is also showing in maintaining academic integrity. So, what does your research report look like altogether? These are just rough estimates of your links. Obviously, some reports will be longer than others depending on their experiment, their results, and how much they decide to discuss in the conclusions. But your introduction should be about 1 to 2 pages, methods about 1 to 3 pages, results around 2 pages, conclusion about 1 page, and your references and works cited need to be however long to cite all authors and articles that were mentioned in the report. So, a quick summary of Lesson 3. Before today, we learned how to formulate a research question and a research design, and how to collect different data. Now, in this lesson, we learn how to organize our data, different data organization tools, and how to interpret results. We also learn how to create a research report and skill you will use often in school and your research career. That completes lesson 3, and I hope to see you all in lesson 4.